Welcome to 101 Random History Facts to Disturb You. Please enjoy, drop a like. Let's go. Number 1. Peter the Great's campaign against Russian beards in the early 1700s turned grooming into policy. Nobles and officials had to shave clean or pay a special fee to keep facial hair. Those who paid carried beard tokens, coins stamped with a whiskered face, proving compliance during inspections. The goal was to westernize appearances to match European fashions, signaling loyalty to reform. Imagine fines for looking rugged. Fashion literally became law. Number 2. Sin-eating was a folk funeral rite in parts of Britain and Wales. A poor outcast, called a sin-eater, knelt by a corpse, ate bread and drank ale placed on the body, symbolically taking the dead person's sins. Families paid pennies, then shunned him as polluted. The last recorded practitioner, Richard Munslow of Shropshire, died April 23, 1906, unusually prosperous for the role. The rite reflected desperate hopes to cheat divine judgment. Number 3. Hatshepsut, Egypt's powerful female pharaoh of the 15th century BCE, adopted male regalia to legitimize rule. Statues show broad shoulders, kilted attire, and a ceremonial false beard, symbols of kingship. Behind the image, her reign delivered stability, monumental temples at Deir el-Bahri, and profitable Red Sea trade expeditions to Punt. She proved effective governance didn't require a Y chromosome, just statecraft, ritual savvy, and yes, a remarkably convincing royal beard. Number 4. In 1917 Montana, a man in a courtroom was arrested for contempt because he smiled during proceedings. The judge deemed the grin disruptive, highlighting how early 20th century American justice sometimes prized stern decorum over proportionality. No violent act, no outburst, just an expression punished. The episode survives as a cautionary tale about judicial discretion untethered from common sense, and how standards of courtroom behavior can veer into absurdity. Number 5. Centuries ago in Europe, pink was associated with red, blood, bravery, and martial vigor, so it dressed boys. Blue's calm purity, tied to depictions of the Virgin Mary, suited girls. Mid-20th century marketing flipped the script. Mamie Eisenhower's frequent pink popularized the hue, and advertisers entrenched pink for girls, blue for boys, by the 1950s. The shift shows gendered colors aren't timeless tradition but manufactured taste, with commerce repainting culture to sell more stuff. Number 6. Levi's fifth pocket is actually the fourth in the original 1873 jean design, a tiny watch or fob pocket above the right front. The true fifth pocket, the second rear pocket, arrived in 1901. During World War II, rivets were temporarily removed to conserve metal, then restored post-war. Though pocket watches vanished, the mini pocket endured, now holding coins, picks, lighters, or earbuds, a stitched time capsule from the denim's frontier origins. Number 7. On December 10, 1968, a man posing as a police officer stopped a Nissan Cedric carrying 294 million yen in Tokyo. Claiming the car was booby-trapped, he set off smoke beneath it. The couriers fled. He drove away with the cash. No gun, no injuries, just nerves and theater. Despite Japan's largest manhunt, thousands questioned, millions of fingerprints checked, the thief and money vanished. The 300 million yen case remains unsolved. Number 8. In 1975 U.S. Senate hearings, the CIA revealed exotic devices, including a modified pistol that fired toxin-tipped darts. The heart attack gun allegedly delivered shellfish poison, inducing apparent cardiac arrest with only a pinprick mark. Officials acknowledged research into poisons and disguisable weapons, but denied operational use. The disclosure crystallized public fears about untraceable assassinations during the Cold War, reality uncomfortably rivaling the gadgetry of fictional spy thrillers. Number 9. In 1944, aboard USS North Carolina, sailors rescued a tiny kitten from the sea and named him George, short for General Electric. He received a jokey Navy health record listing ailments like worries hell out of everyone, plus a Liberty card and the run of the decks. Mascot, stress reliever, and family, George brightened wartime months, showing how companionship, whiskered or otherwise, helps crews endure the long grind of the Pacific War. Number 10. In 1783 France, the Montgolfier brothers flew the first hot air balloon passengers, a sheep, a duck, and a rooster, to test effects of altitude. The 8-minute flight landed safely, convincing observers that animals, and soon humans, could survive aerial ascent. Within months, tethered and free human flights followed, inaugurating ballooning as spectacle and science. History's first airborne crew was Barnyard, but the leap it enabled carried people into the sky. Number 11. In 1975, Harold Davison of Seward, Nebraska, built a 45-ton concrete time capsule packed with 5,000-plus artifacts, including a brand-new Chevrolet Vega and a Kawasaki motorcycle. After briefly losing his Guinness title, he added a pyramid to reclaim largest bragging rights. Opened in June-July 2025, the Vega emerged surprisingly preserved, then paraded on July 4th. Families reclaimed letters and mementos, history unboxed after half a century underground. Number 12. The Beale ciphers, published in an 1885 pamphlet, claim vast treasure buried in Bedford County, Virginia. One cipher, keyed to the Declaration of Independence, describes gold, silver, and jewels. Two others allegedly give names and the exact site, but remain unsolved. For generations, hunters have dug and debated, while skeptics suspect a 19th century hoax to sell pamphlets. Authentic fortune or elaborate fiction, the mystery keeps shovels and imaginations busy. Number 13. Nokia's 1100, launched in 2003, became history's best-selling mobile phone, moving over 250 million units. Rugged, dust-resistant, and famously durable, it survived drops and monsoon rain. With a flashlight and astonishing battery life approaching 2 weeks, it thrived where smartphones struggle. No camera, apps, or Wi-Fi, just calls, texts, and reliability made it a first digital lifeline for millions worldwide. Simplicity, low cost, and endurance beat flashy features. Number 14. In 1787, Benjamin Franklin helped design the Fugio cent, America's first official coin. Its sundial and Fugio, I fly, warned that time escapes. Mind your business urged industrious focus, not gossip. 13 interlinked rings declared, "We are one," symbolizing the United States. The pragmatic motto contrasts later, "In God we trust," revealing early civic values grounded in work and unity. A small coin, heavy with Enlightenment messaging. Number 15. In 1975, ad man Gary Dahl turned a barroom joke into the pet rock phenomenon. He sourced smooth stones cheaply, packaged each in a straw-lined box with spoof care instructions, and priced them under $4. Nearly 1.5 million sold by Christmas, netting him a fortune before the fad faded. The gag proved marketing alchemy. With the right story, even ordinary pebbles can become must-have companions. Number 16. In 1802, President Thomas Jefferson received the Mammoth cheese, a 1,235-pound wheel, crafted from the milk of 900 cows by grateful Cheshire, Massachusetts farmers. Bearing the motto, "Rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God," it honored his stance on religious liberty. Federalist papers mocked it. Supporters treated slices like relics. Portions were served for years at the White House, until the colossal gift inevitably spoiled. Number 17. Winter, 1984 on Russia's Chukchi Peninsula. Roughly 3,000 beluga whales were trapped beneath ice up to 12 feet thick. Locals tried keeping breathing holes open, but escape seemed impossible. The Soviet icebreaker Moskva arrived. The whales feared its roar. Crews blasted music over loudspeakers. Classical worked. For weeks, the ship led a living procession through open channels, freeing around 2,000 whales at substantial cost and heroic persistence. Number 18. Walter Summerford's story reads like fate's cruel joke. In World War I, lightning struck him while riding across a Belgian field, paralyzing him from the waist down. He recovered, only to be struck again, then again, 3 separate incidents in one lifetime. After his death, a 4th bolt reportedly blasted his gravestone. Whether embellished or exact, the tale captures lightning's randomness, and human awe at repeating misfortune. Number 19. In 1898, Morgan Robertson published Futility about the Titan, an unsinkable luxury liner that strikes an iceberg in April in the North Atlantic and sinks with too few lifeboats. 14 years later, the Titanic met an eerily similar fate. The novella was republished as The Wreck of the Titan. Prophecy, coincidence, or nautical savvy, the parallels made readers shiver at fiction's unsettling brush with reality. Number 20. Émilie Saget, a 19th century French teacher, was said to have a spectral double. At a Latvian boarding school in 1845, students and staff claimed they simultaneously saw Saget at work and her doppelganger mimicking movements elsewhere, even two reflections in a mirror. Émilie reportedly felt weak whenever it appeared. Parents removed children. Schools dismissed her repeatedly. She faded from records, leaving a classic chilling bilocation mystery. Number 21. On April 1st, 1957, the BBC aired a straight-faced segment showing Swiss villagers harvesting spaghetti from trees. Narrated by respected broadcaster Richard Dimbleby, the film fooled thousands in pasta-ignorant post-war Britain. Viewers phoned in for growing tips. The BBC cheekily advised planting a sprig in tomato sauce. The prank became an April Fool's legend, proving authoritative tone and clever visuals can make the ridiculous feel plausible. Number 22. Before electricity and refrigeration, people mastered preservation arts. In Persia, towering yakhchals, earthen ice houses, stored winter ice through scorching summers. Europe and America packed food in ice boxes with lake-cut blocks. Cellars kept produce cool. Salting, drying, pickling, and fermenting transformed perishables. Milk to cheese, cabbage to sauerkraut, grapes to wine, fish to stockfish. These techniques didn't just prevent spoilage. They shaped cuisines and seasonal rhythms for centuries. Number 23. The Fugate family of Kentucky became famous for skin with a blue cast, a result of inherited methemoglobinemia, reducing blood's oxygen-carrying ability. Geographic isolation and intermarriage kept the recessive trait circulating for generations. Many led otherwise ordinary lives. Doses of methylene blue could temporarily restore normal color. Their story blended genetics, Appalachian history, and medical curiosity, turning feeling blue into a strikingly literal identity. Number 24. In 1877, 14-year-old Rosa Matilda Richter, stage name Zazel, became the first human cannonball. The cannon used springs, not gunpowder, but the deafening blast and soaring flight electrified crowds. She arced into a net, night after night, embodying Victorian spectacle and risk. Fame came with danger. Injuries later curtailed her career. Zazel's daring launched a circus tradition whose audacity still astonishes modern audiences. Number 25. In 2021, divers off the Croatian island of Korčula uncovered a 7,000-year-old stone-paved road submerged in the Adriatic. Likely built around 4,900 BCE to link a prehistoric settlement, it's about 4 meters, 13 feet wide, formed from neatly laid slabs. Pottery and tools nearby revealed an organized community long before Roman engineering. The find pushed back timelines for complex infrastructure and coastal habitation in the region. Number 26. During World War II, the FBI's fingerprint division resembled a vast paper metropolis. Thousands of clerks cataloged prints from soldiers, federal workers, and suspects, using the Henry classification system to sort whorls and loops by hand. Matching a single print could take hours or days. The wartime surge swelled files and staffing, laying procedural groundwork for the digital AFIS systems that now identify prints in seconds. Number 27. Columbia Pictures' torch-bearing logo gained a new face in 1992. Artist Michael Deese painted an updated version using Jenny Joseph, a 28-year-old graphic designer, as his model. She had never modeled before, and never did again. Yet her serene likeness introduced countless blockbusters, becoming quietly iconic. Joseph received no celebrity fanfare, but her image, draped in light and classical folds, became Hollywood's familiar prelude worldwide. Number 28. In 1955, Dr. Jonas Salk declined to patent his polio vaccine, asking, Could you patent the sun? His decision sped global production and distribution, transforming polio from a paralyzing scourge into a largely preventable disease. By prioritizing public health over profit, Salk became an emblem of science serving humanity. Mass immunization campaigns that followed saved millions from paralysis and reshaped expectations for medical breakthroughs. Number 29. The universal recycling symbol, 3 chasing arrows forming a loop, was created in 1970 by 23-year-old student Gary Anderson for an Earth Day contest. Originally intended for recycled paper, the minimalist design traveled the globe, landing on bins, bottles, and packaging as a visual shorthand for circularity. Anderson earned a small prize, yet his graphic became environmentalism's most recognizable mark, embedding sustainability into everyday consumer choices. Number 30. On May 18, 1980, Mount St. Helens exploded laterally, its peak collapsing from about 9,677 feet to a horseshoe crater. The blast flattened forests across hundreds of square miles. Ash drifted over 11 states. Equivalent to hundreds of atomic bombs in energy, it killed 57 people and caused billions in damage. America's Mount Fuji lost its perfect cone, reminding the Northwest that dormant isn't the same as safe. Number 31. Knock on wood traces to ancient European tree veneration, especially Celtic beliefs that spirits or deities dwelled in oaks and yews. Touching or wrapping wood sought protection, invited luck, or kept boastful spirits from overhearing and spoiling plans. The gesture migrated through folklore to everyday habit, surviving Christianization, immigration, and modern skepticism. Today, people tap desks, door frames, or tables, echoes of an old pact between humans and the woods. Number 32. At Saint Symphorien Military Cemetery in Belgium, Private John Parr, the first British soldier killed in World War I, lies across from Private George Ellison, the last British soldier killed, 90 minutes before the 11th of November, 1918 armistice. Parr died in August 1914, Ellison in November 1918. Their opposing graves wordlessly bracket 4 years of industrial slaughter, turning a cemetery pathway into a poignant timeline of war's first and final British casualties. Number 33. Nike's swoosh began as a $35 student project in 1971. Graphic design student Carolyn Davidson sketched a dynamic mark suggesting the wing of Nike, Greek goddess of victory, and athletic motion. Co-founder Phil Knight initially felt uncertain, but the emblem gained power as the brand exploded. In 1983, Nike gifted Davidson a diamond ring and stock, worth millions today. Her quick class-time logo became global shorthand for movement and grit. Number 34. On July 4, 1984, a 34-foot Brontosaurus replica, nearly 1,000 pounds, flew by helicopter over Boston en route to the Museum of Science, a jubilant publicity stunt. America's dinosaur showmanship had precedent. For the 1964 World's Fair, Sinclair Oil floated 9 fiberglass dinosaurs down the Hudson. Sculptor Louis Paul Jonas's beasts mesmerized crowds, entwining paleontology, marketing, and national imagination. Nothing says Happy Independence Day like airborne Mesozoic spectacle. Number 35. During the Great Depression and World War II, U.S. families repurposed cotton flour and feed sacks into dresses, aprons, shirts, and curtains. Manufacturers noticed and printed sacks with florals, stripes, and bright dyes, adding tear-away labels to preserve fabric. Brands like Kansas Wheat and Gingham Girl advertised patterns, and sewing guides spread nationwide. What started as thrift became style. Packaging transformed into wardrobes, proving ingenuity can outdesign scarcity. Number 36. President Lyndon B. Johnson's favorite prank used a German-made amphicar. At his Texas ranch in the 1960s, he'd speed guests downhill toward a lake, shouting that the brakes had failed, then splash in. Hidden propellers engaged, and the car merrily motored like a boat at about 7 miles per hour. Terrified dignitaries became damp punchlines. LBJ harnessed shock, humor, and a quirky vehicle to create unforgettable presidential hospitality. Number 37. In 1926, Nikola Tesla envisioned pocket-sized wireless devices connecting through a global system, enabling instant voice transmission, face-to-face viewing, news delivery, and real-time events, essentially smartphones plus the internet. He foresaw miniaturized receivers, ubiquitous connectivity, and personalized information streams. Though details were speculative, the concept captured mobile telephony, video calls, and live sport broadcasts decades early. Tesla's futurism wasn't only coils and currents, it sketched our digital handheld world. Number 38. Dr. Joseph N. Jackson, a prolific Black American inventor, created consumer electronics empowering families. In the 1970s to 1990s, he developed a programmable TV controller and the telecommander, precursors to parental controls that shaped the V-chip concept, letting guardians filter violent or explicit broadcasts. His portfolio spanned fertility prediction devices and aircraft tracking technology. Jackson's work merged engineering with social impact, turning everyday frustrations into accessible tools for safety and autonomy. Number 39. Ancient Egypt's civil calendar had 12 30-day months plus 5 epagomenal feast days, totaling 365 without leap correction. Drifting one day every 4 years, its seasons cycled through a 1,460-year Sothic period. Running alongside lunar months used for ritual, this pragmatic system supported taxation, agriculture, and temple logistics. Rome later borrowed heavily. Julius Caesar's reform echoed Egyptian structuring. Even 4 millennia ago, timekeeping was power, bureaucracy, and astronomy. Number 40. In 18th century Russia, Fyodor Vasiliev's first wife reportedly bore 69 children across 27 pregnancies, 16 sets of twins, 7 sets of triplets, and 4 sets of quadruplets, an unmatched fertility record. A monastery report from 1782 tallied the births and unusually high survival. Fyodor later fathered additional children with a second wife, totaling 87. Though extraordinary by any standard, the account endures in record books as population growth condensed. Number 41. Machu Picchu, built under the Inca Emperor Pachacuti in the 15th century, sits nearly 8,000 feet above sea level. Its mortarless ashlar walls interlock with seismic precision. Terraces manage water and erosion. Temples align with celestial events. Abandoned after the Spanish conquest and cloaked by cloud forest, it was brought to global attention in 1911 by Hiram Bingham. Today, the UNESCO site symbolizes Inca engineering, ritual sophistication, and resilience. Number 42. In 1745, Benjamin Franklin penned Advice to a Young Man on the Choice of a Mistress, a private, cheeky letter praising older women as wiser, discreet, and grateful companions, while warning against seducing innocence. Circulated quietly, it revealed Franklin's pragmatic, sometimes ribald moral calculus, alongside his Enlightenment persona. The note sits uneasily beside the mythic statesman, reminding us founders were complex humans with appetites, wit, and private hypocrisies. Number 43. Michelangelo Buonarroti, born 1475 near Florence, apprenticed young and joined the Medici circle. By his 20s, he carved the Pietà and the towering David, earning the epithet Il Divino. From 1508 to 1512, he painted the Sistine Chapel ceiling, creation of Adam becoming an icon of Western art. Later, as architect of St. Peter's Basilica, he shaped Rome's skyline. Sculptor, painter, and builder, he fused anatomy, theology, and stone. Number 44. Classical Persians reputedly debated important decisions twice, first drunk, then sober, or vice versa. The premise balanced Dionysian candor with Apollonian caution. An idea worth keeping should survive both impulse and restraint. While details vary across sources, the ethos highlights ancient awareness of cognitive bias. By stress-testing proposals under different mental states, Persians sought durable consensus, an early, if quirky method of de-risking policy before implementing consequential choices. Number 45. A stalagmite in Mexico preserved isotopic records revealing severe droughts between 871 and 1021 CE, overlapping the Maya classic collapse. Oxygen isotope shifts point to multi-year rainfall deficits, including a brutal 13-year stretch. Crop failures, conflict, and political fragmentation compounded stress. Reservoirs and canals couldn't offset prolonged aridity. The data reframed decline as climate-linked systems failure, where environmental shocks met governance limits and urban centers emptied or transformed. Number 46. On 26 September 1983, Soviet early warning satellites signaled 5 incoming U.S. missiles. Protocol urged immediate retaliation. Duty officer Stanislav Petrov judged the alert a glitch, arguing a genuine first strike would be massive, not 5 warheads. He reported it as a false alarm. Ground radar later confirmed no launches. Sunlight on high clouds had tricked sensors. Petrov's calm skepticism likely averted nuclear escalation, a quiet decision that saved millions. Number 47. Archaeology at Giza reveals pyramid builders were organized Egyptian workers, not enslaved masses. Excavations found barracks, bakeries, breweries, cattle bones from prime cuts, a hospital, and workers' tombs, signs of status and care. Red Ochre Gang graffiti inside blocks names crews like Friends of Khufu. The Diary of Merer, a foreman's log, details limestone shipments. Roughly 20,000 to 30,000 laborers built the Great Pyramid over decades as civic duty and prestige. Number 48. In 1925, Karam Chand married Kartari in Punjab, later moving to the UK. Their union lasted 90 years and 291 days, spanning empire, partition, migration, and modernity, the longest reliably recorded marriage. They raised 8 children and dozens of grandchildren, offering a living archive of 20th century upheaval filtered through everyday devotion. Longevity statistics can feel abstract until you meet a couple who quietly outlast a century's storms. Number 49. Before 1922, type 1 diabetes often meant a swift, wasting death. At the University of Toronto, Banting, Best, Collip, and MacLeod purified pancreatic extracts, insulin, and administered them to children in diabetic ketoacidosis. Within hours, comas lifted. Within days, vitality returned. Mortality plunged from over 90% to under 1%. Mass production followed, turning an acute fatal illness into a chronic manageable condition and inaugurating modern hormone replacement therapy. Number 50. Personal ads long predate apps. The first known ran in England on July 19, 1695. By 1710, dozens of London papers carried matrimonial notices. America's earliest appeared in Boston in 1759. Writers described looks, fortunes, faith, and expectations, while newspapers acted as intermediaries for anonymous replies. By the 19th century, top papers charged premiums and popular ads drew hundreds of letters. Swipe culture's roots are ink and paper romance. Thinking. Number 51. Wilmer McLean tried to outrun the U.S. Civil War. The first major battle, First Bull Run, July 1861, shattered fences and fields on his Virginia farm. Seeking peace, he moved his family to Appomattox Courthouse, only for history to circle back. On April 9, 1865, Lee surrendered to Grant in McLean's parlor. "The war began in my front yard and ended in my front parlor," he quipped. Number 52. Benjamin Franklin thought the bald eagle lazy and thieving, unfit for a national emblem. In private writings, he praised the wild turkey as more courageous and respectable, a native bird that defended its ground. America ultimately chose the eagle for the Great Seal in 1782. The turkey joke endures, reminding us symbolism is negotiated, myth, biology, and politics braided together, while national icons often reveal as much about values as animals. Number 53. On December 30th, 1952, London's Tower Bridge began lifting while a number 78 double-decker bus was still crossing. Driver Albert Gunter, unable to brake, accelerated and jumped the widening gap to the opposite bascule. All 20 passengers survived. Gunter broke a leg. His reward, 10 pounds and a day off work. The incident became legend, equal parts mechanical mishap, quick thinking, and the understated British habit of paying heroes peanuts. Number 54. Tokyo, 1954. Airport officials detained a well-dressed traveler whose passport said Toured, allegedly a European nation between France and Spain. Maps didn't show it. Documents looked authentic. Placed under guard in a hotel, he reportedly vanished overnight, along with his papers. The tale, unverified yet irresistible, became a classic of anomalous lore. Scam, bureaucratic confusion, or urban legend, the man from Tord endures as a tidy portal to parallel world fantasies. Number 55. In 12th century Woolpit, Suffolk, villagers found two children with green-tinged skin speaking an unknown language. They wouldn't eat except raw beans. The boy soon died. The girl adapted, was baptized, learned English, and later said they came from a dim St. Martin's land. Explanations spanned folktale, chlorosis, iron deficiency, plant-based diet, or immigrant outsiders. Whatever the truth, the story captures medieval anxieties, strangers, scarcity, and worlds beyond the hedgerow. Number 56. In 1828, Nuremberg authorities discovered a teenage boy, Caspar Hauser, barely literate, claiming lifelong confinement. His odd manners, sudden fame, and patronage ignited rumors. Lost prince, imposter, or abused orphan. He was attacked several times. In 1833, he died from a stab wound under murky circumstances. Investigations and later DNA tests muddied rather than settled identities. Hauser remains Europe's enigmatic foundling, projection screen for class, conspiracy, and compassion. Number 57. On December 5, 1872, the brigantine Mary Celeste was found adrift near the Azores, cargo intact, crew gone. The ship's boat was missing. Charts suggested abrupt course changes. Meals and personal items remained. Theories multiplied. Mutiny, piracy, seaquake, waterspout, alcohol fumes, or insurance fraud. None convinced. Maritime courts cleared the salvors, but left mysteries hanging. The ghost ship endures because ordinary details, wet decks, pumps, bread, feel chillingly unfinished. Number 58. In September 1770, auroras blazed for 9 consecutive nights, visible far from polar latitudes, in China, Japan, and possibly near the Caribbean. Contemporary diaries describe crimson and emerald curtains bright enough to read by at midnight. The storm likely rivaled the 1859 Carrington event, implying intense solar activity. Before modern grids, it was spectacle. Today, such storms threaten satellites and power systems, reminding us Earth's sky dances to the sun's moods. Number 59. A playful chronological quirk, the samurai era ended in 1868. Abraham Lincoln died in 1865. The electric telegraph, a fax ancestor, was patented in the 1840s. So, in theory, a samurai could have transmitted a message to Lincoln. It never happened, but the overlap illustrates history's surprising contemporaneities. Top knots and stovepipe hats sharing a technological century, puncturing our habit of sealing cultures into tidy, non-overlapping time boxes. Number 60. In 1884, fear shadowed the New Brooklyn Bridge after a deadly stampede. Showman P.T. Barnum seized the moment, parading 21 elephants, including Jumbo, and 17 camels across its span. The spectacle drew massive crowds and proved the bridge's strength better than speeches or engineering diagrams. Barnum's pageant fused publicity with public reassurance, transforming skepticism into civic pride, an unforgettable march that welded entertainment to infrastructure in Gilded Age New York. Number 61. On August 2nd, 1133, Old Reckoning, noon turned to night over England. Chroniclers called it an omen, the darkness of doom. In reality, a total solar eclipse swept the island, briefly silencing birds and spooking cattle. Medieval Europe read celestial events as messages. Kings worried, clergy preached. The episode shows how astronomy and anxiety entwined, how a routine alignment of sun, moon, and earth could recalibrate fear, faith, and political theater. Number 62. Edward II's death in 1327 gained gruesome legend, a red-hot poker, chosen to leave no outward mark. Contemporary records are murky. Some historians suspect later propaganda by enemies or alternative fates. Regardless, the tale stuck because it fit anxieties about tyrannical intimacy and hidden cruelty. Medieval rumor often outlived fact, reminding us narratives of power, especially salacious ones, shape royal memory as much as parchment, seals, and chronicles. Number 63. During World War II, behaviorist B.F. Skinner tested Project Pigeon, birds trained to peck at a target image on a screen inside a missile's nose. Their pecks moved control surfaces, keeping the target centered. Trials showed startling accuracy, but radar guidance soon eclipsed the idea. The project sounds absurd until you recall wartime urgency. Unorthodox minds exploring any mechanism, beak or valve, that might steer chaos toward control. Number 64. RMS Titanic wasn't White Star's only tragedy. Sister ship HMHS Britannic struck a mine in the Aegean in 1916 and sank. On board was nurse Violet Jessup, who had also survived Titanic's 1912 sinking and an earlier collision on RMS Olympic. Thrown from Britannic and nearly pulled into the propellers, she lived, earning Queen of Shipwrecks. Her calm resilience amid 3 disasters made her an unlikely maritime folk hero. Number 65. At Teotihuacan in central Mexico, dogs held spiritual significance. Burials and offerings include canine remains, often Xoloitzcuintli, interpreted as guides for souls crossing to the afterlife. Their placement alongside humans suggests companionship that transcended life, while iconography links dogs to water and underworld passage. Far from mere pets, they were ritual partners embedded in cosmology, proof that Mesoamerican cities braided daily households and sacred journeys into one living plan. Number 66. In 1250, French knight John of Brienne vaulted from crusader to Muslim royalty through marriage in Damascus, briefly ruling as sultan. His career braided chivalric diplomacy, survival, and opportunism, navigating alliances between Frankish lords and Ayyubid courts. A Christian monarch in an Islamic capital, he embodied medieval realpolitik, proving identity could bend when crowns, dowries, and city gates aligned, and that borders blur fastest in palaces. Number 67. In 1918, Parisians heard explosions without aircraft overhead. The devastation came from the Paris gun, a 112-foot behemoth firing from roughly 75 miles away. Its shells arced into the stratosphere. Barrels wore rapidly. Accuracy was poor. Militarily negligible, psychologically potent, it spread fear and propaganda value. Germans dismantled gun and plans before surrender, leaving a prototype for long-range terror that outpaced horizons yet rarely hit. Number 68. During U.S. Prohibition, alcohol was illegal, but medicine wasn't. Doctors wrote whiskey prescriptions for neurasthenia, flu, or anxiety. Pharmacies filled them for legal liquor. Distilleries rebranded as medicinal producers, and drugstores like Walgreens expanded rapidly. The loophole fueled black market demand and respectable cues alike, blurring ethics, enforcement, and commerce. It wasn't a cure so much as a workaround. Proof laws often redirect vice rather than erase. Number 69. In 1600, samurai Lord Torimoto Tada held Fushimi Castle with about 1,800 men against roughly 40,000 attackers loyal to Ishida Mitsunari. Their doomed stand delayed the enemy, buying Tokugawa Ieyasu crucial days to marshal forces. That time led to victory at Sekigahara and Japan's unification under the Tokugawa shogunate. Mototada's farewell letter framed loyalty as duty unto death, strategy written in sacrifice, not ink, and remembered. Number 70. In 1940, the British Expeditionary Force and allies were trapped around Dunkirk as German armor closed in. The Royal Navy mustered warships while civilian skippers piloted fishing boats and pleasure craft across the channel. Over 9 days, they evacuated more than 300,000 troops under air attack. A retreat recast as resolve, Dunkirk's spirit turned survival into morale, saving an army to fight another day. Number 71. Richard the Lionheart's legend claimed he battled lions barehanded, myth amplifying a battlefield reputation already immense. Chronicles from the Crusades painted him as fearless, pious, and terrifyingly effective, a king whose presence shifted morale. Whether he wrestled beasts or merely symbols, the stories served politics, projecting iron courage, legitimizing authority, and intimidating rivals. Titles are earned in campaigns, then cemented by tales that roar louder than facts. Number 72. In 1325, Modena and Bologna fought the War of the Oaken Bucket after Modenese soldiers stole a city well's wooden pail. Petty theft escalated into pitched battle, thousands dead, and a captured trophy still displayed in Modena. The episode satirizes honor culture and municipal rivalry, how symbols can inflame cities more than strategy. Sometimes history's bloodiest quarrels begin with a container and end with civic pride. Number 73. R. Norris Williams survived Titanic's freezing waters in 1912. Doctors urged leg amputations. He refused, rehabilitated, and captured the U.S. championships in 1914 and 1916, later winning Olympic gold and leading Davis Cup teams. A successful banker and preservationist, he curated history he almost didn't live to see. From hypothermia to Hall of Fame, his life became a blueprint for stubborn grit after catastrophe, unyielding resilience. Number 74. In 1086, William the Conqueror's Domesday Book surveyed England's manors, mills, fields, fisheries, and livestock with forensic detail. Compiled for taxation and control, it transformed conquest into administration, power by parchment. Entries fixed obligations, mapped resources, and settled disputes, creating a snapshot of medieval economy rarely equaled. England was subdued twice, first by Norman swords, then by ledgers that turned land into revenue lines and leverage. Number 75. In 1514, Portugal gifted Pope Leo X a white elephant named Hanno. Rome swooned as the papal pet paraded streets bedecked in finery, receiving fruit and wine. Artists sketched him, poets praised him, courtiers schemed for proximity. Hanno died young, likely from treatment complications, but his memory lingered in grand frescoes and satire, proof the Renaissance adored spectacle, and that diplomacy sometimes arrived with a trunk. Number 76. On June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand's driver took a wrong turn in Sarajevo, stopping beside assassin Gavrilo Princip. 2 shots killed the Archduke and his wife, lighting the fuse for World War I. The mistake became a hinge of history, where contingency met alliances, mobilization timetables, and imperial pride. Sometimes geopolitics pivots not on grand strategy, but on a street corner and a stalled car. Number 77. Pompeii's doom in 79 CE overshadowed an earlier disaster. A powerful earthquake in 62 CE had already shattered buildings and sparked long rebuilds. When Vesuvius erupted, worksites and scaffolds stood amid half-restored blocks. The city's layers, earthquake repairs, frescoes halted mid-stroke, everyday objects abandoned, freeze a society caught between recovery and annihilation. Catastrophes rarely strike clean. They compound, turning resilience efforts into archaeological time capsules for us. Number 78. Jean-Baptiste Colbert allegedly began as a barber before rising to Louis XIV's finance minister, where verified achievements mattered more than origins. He centralized taxation, nurtured manufactures, reformed the navy, and built mercantilist power through the Compagnie des Indes. Colbertism married spreadsheets to statecraft, tariffs, standards, and workshops feeding Versailles' splendor. From trimming beards, perhaps apocryphal, to trimming budgets, he engineered revenue to match royal ambition. Number 79. The 1912 Stockholm Olympic Marathon unfolded in brutal heat near 32 degrees Celsius, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Runners collapsed, only half finished. South African Christian Gitschem withdrew. Japan's Shizo Kanekuri disappeared, later humorously finishing decades after. Reports told of a competitor chased off course by dogs. The chaos prodded evolving race logistics, aid stations, heat protocols, and course control, turning a cautionary contest into a template for safeguarding endurance sport everywhere afterwards. Number 80. Opened in 1914, the Panama Canal redrew trade and ecology, linking Atlantic and Pacific after millions of years apart. Ships and the waterway itself ferried organisms across a new corridor. Invasive species spread, some thriving while others declined. Salinity gradients and lake systems created novel habitats. It was an engineering triumph and a biological experiment without consent. Proof infrastructure edits ecosystems even when blueprints ignore biology. Number 81. World War I devoured animals as well as soldiers. Nearly 8 million horses hauled guns and rations, dying in mud and wire. In 1916, 650 U.S. servicemen formed a vast living tableau, a horse silhouette visible from above, as a memorial. The photograph captured grief, discipline, and gratitude for creatures that obeyed without understanding. It's a reminder that industrial war consumed muscle, hay, and silent companions alongside human lives. Number 82. John Quincy Adams supposedly kept a live crocodile in the White House's East Room, a gift from the Marquis de Lafayette. Visitors imagined tiptoeing past presidential teeth. The tale endures because it's delightfully absurd, power dressed in scales. Yet documentation is thin. Diaries and records don't confirm it. Whether folklore or fact, the myth shows how presidential legends grow when whimsy outruns the paper trail. Number 83. 17th century Holland inhaled tulip mania. Rare bulbs, Semper Augustus Viceroy, sold for sums rivaling houses, fueled by futures contracts and social one-upmanship. When buyers balked in early 1637, prices crashed, ruin rippled, and satire bloomed. The episode became shorthand for bubbles inflated by fashion and leverage. Speculation turned petals into currency, then compost, reminding markets that enthusiasm, credit, and scarcity can combine into dangerous bouquets. Number 84. Along the Mediterranean, the humble Salema porgy, Sarpa salpa, can induce vivid hallucinations if eaten at certain times, likely from algal toxins in its diet. Romans reportedly served it for party theatrics, banquets tilting into 36-hour dreamscapes. Not every fish, season, or specimen is psychoactive, which made the effect notorious and unpredictable. Today, it's a cautionary culinary legend. Seafood meets pharmacology, and dessert is a vision. Number 85. Ireland's Giant's Causeway arrays more than 40,000 interlocking basalt columns, born of cooling lava 50 to 60 million years ago. Their striking hexagons look expertly carved, inviting myth. Giant Fionn McCumhale, building a bridge to Scotland, then outwitting a rival by masquerading as a baby. Geology explains the symmetry. Folklore gives it heart. Standing there, both stories feel true. Stone logic wrapped in human imagination. Number 86. Neutral Lisbon during World War II swirled with spies, refugees, and dealmakers. Axis and Allied agents traded intelligence over coffee. Couriers slipped microfilm across marble floors. Black markets, diplomatic pouches, and code rooms buzzed. Ian Fleming passed through, absorbing atmospherics that would inform Bond. The city's glamour veiled a ruthless chessboard. Neutrality wasn't quiet. It was profitable, dangerous, and conducted at cafe tables with sugar tongs. Number 87. Knut, Canute. The Great forged a thalassocracy in the 11th century, ruling England, Denmark, and Norway. His legendary stunt ordering the tide to halt wasn't hubris, but a lesson to flatterers. Even kings can't command seas. Blending Viking strength with English law, he stabilized currencies, courts, and church relations. The raider became administrator, proving conquest endures only when oars give way to ledgers and consensus. Number 88. Turin's Lingotto Fiat factory, opened 1923, stacked 5 stories of production topped by a rooftop test track. Cars spiraled up internal ramps, then blasted laps above the skyline at roughly 90 kilometers per hour. Modernism, literalized. When manufacturing ended, Renzo Piano transformed the complex into galleries, shops, and a hotel, preserving the track as a public walkway. It remains a surreal hinge between speed, architecture, and adaptive reuse. Number 89. Florence Nightingale weaponized statistics. In the Crimean War, she tallied deaths and traced them to infection, not bullets. To persuade officials, she designed polar area diagrams, striking rose charts that made data visceral. Sanitation reforms followed. Ventilation, cleanliness, and trained nurses reduced mortality dramatically. Nightingale fused compassion with quantitative argument, proving that well-drawn graphs can move ministers faster than sermons, and that hygiene saves more than heroics. Number 90. Facing invasion in 1588, Elizabeth I rode to Tilbury in a breastplate and brilliance. "I have the body of a weak and feeble woman, but the heart and stomach of a king," she declared, galvanizing troops as the Armada threatened. Weather and seamanship finished Spain, but rhetoric fortified resolve. The moment cemented her myth, a queen wielding theater and strategy, turning vulnerability into national defiance. Number 91. Caligula's love for his horse. Incitatus galloped into legend. Ancient writers say the pampered stallion enjoyed a marble stall, jeweled harness, and servants. Some claimed Caligula planned to make him a priest or senator. Whether satire or fact, the anecdotes signal a ruler flaunting absurd privilege, or critics sharpening pens. When politics grows performative, a horse can become both pet and punchline in imperial Rome. Number 92. Venice stands on forests you cannot see. Millions of alder and larch piles were driven into lagoon mud, then waterlogged, oxygen-starved, and mineral-hardened, functionally petrified. Stone foundations atop them carried palaces and campaniles for centuries. The system resists rot because decay needs air. The lagoon denies it. Rising seas and wake erosion threaten today, but the engineering remains miraculous, a marble city anchored in drowned wood. Number 93. In Rabat's Medina, bookseller Mohammed Aziz turned a tiny shop into a public library of the street. Since 1967, he's read voraciously: Arabic, French, Spanish, English, often 10+ hours a day, leaving stacks outside unguarded. His credo is famous: those who can't read don't steal books. Those who can read aren't thieves. For locals and wanderers, Aziz embodies a gentle truth. Literacy is security, generosity, and quiet power. Number 94. The 1969 soccer war between Honduras and El Salvador wasn't truly about football, but land, migration, and politics. Heated World Cup qualifiers became catalysts. Riots and propaganda primed borders. A brief, deadly conflict followed. Airstrikes, armor, and casualties, before a ceasefire. The name stuck because sport supplied the spark television could frame. It's a case study in how spectacle can ignite tinder already stacked by policy failures. Number 95. Rapa Nui's Moai walked, Islanders say. Experiments with ropes show teams can rock and pivot the statues forward, inching vast stone figures upright across terrain. No sleds required. Oral history thus matches physics. Rhythmic sway, human cadence, ancestor statues stepping toward villages. The Moai embodied mana and lineage, facing inland to watch over people. Moving them wasn't merely logistics, it was choreography, ceremony, and social cohesion in stone. Number 96. Alexander the Great, dead at 32, never lost a pitched battle. From Granicus and Issus to Gaugamela and the Hydaspes, he combined speed, reconnaissance, feints, and the hammer-anvil of companion cavalry with Macedonian phalanx. Campaigns stretched from Greece to India. Cities were founded, cultures braided in Hellenistic exchange. His empire fractured after, but the tactical record remains astonishing. Audacity disciplined by planning and ruthless logistics. Number 97. In the Little Ice Age, the Thames sometimes froze solid. Londoners built frost fairs on the river, lanes of stalls, roasting spits, printed souvenirs pulled from makeshift presses on ice. Ale tents, games, even horse races sprawled where barges should pass. The fairs were joyous and perilous. When thaw came, cracking floes swallowed booths. They're a snapshot of climate's reach into commerce, play, and urban memory. Number 98. Mithridates. The Sixth of Pontus, Rome's formidable foe, reportedly addressed subjects in all their tongues, over 20 languages, sidestepping translators who could edit truth. Polyglot diplomacy buttressed charisma and intelligence gathering, while he waged the Mithridatic Wars. His name also birthed Mithridatism, gradual poison dosing to build tolerance. Whether every language claim is literal, the legend captures a king who treated words and toxins as weapons of sovereignty. Number 99. The Tower of London wasn't only a prison, it hosted a royal menagerie from the 1200s. Lions, leopards, monkeys, and a polar bear, said to fish the Thames on a leash, advertised England's reach through exotic gifts. Crowds gawked, keepers improvised care, symbolism trumped welfare. The collection later moved to Regent's Park, seating London Zoo. The tower thus caged both traders and trophies in a theater of power. Number 100. A popular anecdote claims Davy Crockett campaigned with the slogan, "I'll do nothing," and won by honesty. It's apocryphal. Crockett, frontiersman, congressman, Alamo defender, died in 1836, and his real career was combative, opposing Andrew Jackson on principle. The myth persists because it flatters cynicism about politics. The truth is richer. He was a media-savvy populist who fought hard, lost seats, and left a complicated, heroic legend.